Welcome back, everybody. Frank Vespi here for Maryland Racing Today, part of the Midlantic Racing Today family of podcasts. Maryland Racing Today is powered by the Racing Biz, theracingbiz.com, and presented by our friends at the Maryland Jockey Club. Please do like and subscribe. We appreciate that. We've been adding 200-300 followers a week, so we appreciate that very much. So hit those likes and subscribes. Thanks so much. You can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Podbean, wherever you get your podcasts. So we appreciate you doing that. Our guest today is going to be Rick Trott. Rick, co-owner of Weber City Miss Stakes hopeful Miss Fulton Gal. And it's a great story. There's a great sort of backstory to Miss Fulton Gal. So let's get Rick on the stage here and hear it from him directly. Rick, how's it going?
It's going well, Frank. How are you?
I'm good. I appreciate your making a few minutes for us here on Maryland Racing Today. Let's just start with kind of the housekeeping stuff. How's Miss Fulton Gal coming into the race?
She's doing good. She's doing well. Mike has her primed and ready to go. Mike Gorham, that is, primed and ready to go. So we're excited about it. We'll see what happens. Yeah. Tough race, though. Tough race. There's going to be a lot of good horses in there.
Interesting, though. You and law school are the only ones back out of the private terms. I thought we might see the horse that came in. I didn't think we would see Peach Time, but I thought we would see the horse that came in third.
Because she was rolling. I thought we were going to see some ride, and then so when the nominations came out, I was surprised that she wasn't on there, and I don't know if we dodged a bullet or not, but I kept looking like, is Dazzling Dame going to be in the race? We're excited about it for sure. But I like you said, I thought Some Ride was going to definitely be in there.
Yeah, the one that surprised me, who is a handful on best, is Jumping the Gun, the Andy Simoff gun runner filly, who's only been beaten by Zany, who was the beaten favorite in the Ashland, and Dazzling Dame, who's also very good. So,
So we actually raced against those two in the white clay.
That was a tough race.
That was a tough race, and I don't. So we came in fifth, and I don't think that really did our horse justice a whole lot. She's still learning. She got trapped early and didn't get loose till late, and she was running. We ran out of real estate. We weren't going to beat either one of those that day, but hopefully we progressed enough, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, well, that's it. Yeah, I mean, it is interesting. The speed figures aren't really showing it, but it feels like your horse is getting better.
She's I'm newer to this game, but it just seems like she's gaining more confidence. And you can tell. She's more relaxed early in the race. So she was getting rushed up early in the first couple races and then just trying to hang on. And now she's splitting horses. She's comfortable being in the middle of the pack or in the back and making a run at the end.
Yeah, let's I want to pop up a video of her last race. You mentioned splitting horses, and that was in the Beyond the Wire stakes. She's kind of down on the rail here, kind of mid pack at this point, mid of a small pack, but it's an interesting race. I mean, there's the horse on the inside on the lead's about to fade from the scene. That's Law School. Peach Tide's in the orange, and then rolling up outside, the horse we just talked about was Some Ride, and at this point, it looks like Some Ride's going to win by all she wants.
Yep.
And you're going to be sort of scuffling along for third, maybe. And then all of a sudden she kicks it in here and comes between. One of the interesting things I thought about this race, Rick, too, is, and I've got this on the video, she gallops out a mile ahead of everybody else.
Yeah. So the race before this was 1 mile and a 16th, just like the Weber City Miss. And I thought that was a great distance for her. And it was 2 turns. This is 1 turn a mile. So I was actually a little bit concerned it was shorter. And so I think like when she galloped out like that, I was like, man, if she might have won by open lengths if it was longer, but she Yeah, she has a lot of heart. She has a lot of stamina. It's longer is better for her.
Yeah. Yeah. So you get a mile and 16th in the Weber City Miss on Saturday, 150,000 and a free square, free spot to the Black Eyed Susan. I imagine if you win here, you're going to give that a pretty long look.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. But, one thing, my father-in-law's Vincent Bracciale, or Jimbo. And one thing he made clear early is like, you let the trainers make the decision. Right. So, yeah, so I want to do it for sure. But yeah, Mike will make the decision on that. It's kind of one of those things. It's like, I guess in life, you have expectations, you have your goals, and you have your dreams, right? So the expectations for us, we knew the horse had some talent early. So we wanted to be competitive, get into some allowance races. It was something where we had a lot of fun bringing our families together. That was kind of the expectation. We're going to have a good time. It's great. And then you have your goal, where we wanted to get to the Weber City Miss was our goal, because Jimbo rode Weber City Miss, which is really cool. And just, having that kind of connection since he passed, that was our goal. And we're kind of there. And then the dream is the Black Eyed Susan. That would be amazing.
Yeah.
But we're a long way from that right now. We'll have to see how everything goes on Saturday.
Yeah, right. You got to do it one step at a time in this business.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that. You mentioned your father-in-law, Jimbo Bracciale, who passed a few months ago. There's a lot of connections here with this horse and him, and obviously you guys. But let's talk about this first. Now, he bought this horse for you, right? And this is like the last one he picked.
Yeah, the last horse he picked. And it was in the June Ocala sale, the 2-year-old sale last year. So,
what did he like about it? The breeding, like the dam didn't do anything. First fall,
it was
fire.
It was funny because my wife and I, and my family, we were on vacation during the June sale, and it's funny, like the way I always think about horse. Again, I'm a novice owner, but I always think like you get a 2-year-old. It's exciting. It's like buying a lottery ticket trying to get to the Derby.
Mm-hmm. And
so you really have 1 in 20,000 chance you're gonna have the Derby winner, right? And then to improve your odds, you want to buy a colt, right?
Sure.
And so he called me, and he never really got too excited about things, but he called me when I was on vacation, pretty excited. He's like, Rick, I got you a horse. She doesn't have a ton of pedigree, but she's big. I love the way she gallops. She's perfect. She's straight. And so I was excited when he's talking about that. And then the last thing he said before he got off the phone is he said, you're going to love this filly, and then hung up. And then I looked to my wife and I was like, your dad bought a filly. Oh my gosh. And now it's like, all I want are fillies now. So Mike is actually at the sale for us now, down there today. He got there, and I'm like, man, let's get a filly. Let's get another filly. So, but no, he just liked the look of the horse. He grew up in Charlestown next to a track, and it just was like second nature. He could just, look over a horse and just say, that's going to be a pretty good horse. Or, I think he went on his gut probably more than a pedigree. I mean, he would look at the pedigree, but he went on the gut a lot.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So she ran second in her debut to a pretty well-meant filly that Greg Compton has, I guess, and then won her second race. And you guys got offered a pretty good amount of money.
Yeah, we did. So my father-in-law called me, and so I have a third of the horse. I have a third. Terry, his wife, has a third, and my buddy JP, John Polizos, he has a third of the horse. But he called me first, and he's like, "Hey, we got this big offer for the horse. It's about 10 times what you paid. You got to call Terry first and see what she wants to do." And I'm thinking, why do I have to call? And so I did, and it was funny because the conversation was so short. So she's I thought she'd want to take the money and run.
Mm-hmm.
I called her. I was like, hey, Terry, got this offer. Like, what do you want to do? And she was like, at my age, this is probably not a smart decision, but I don't want to sell. And I was like, me neither. I don't want to sell either. And neither one of us know why we said we don't want to sell, because, probably 9 times out of 10, you take that offer. But we didn't know why we didn't want to sell, but neither one of us wanted to sell. So John really didn't have a vote in it. He was outvoted before I had to call him.
It was over before you got there.
But it was like such a blessing for many other reasons, like money aside, all of that racing. Like, it was just such a blessing, because this horse is like provided so much healing for the family. Like, his 5 daughters have been at the races. Terry's been at the race, and the first race she won after Jimbo passed away was on Valentine's Day, and then the next race we won was really kind of put us in to the Weber City Miss, which we had that connection with Weber City Miss. So we got a big offer, and I'm so thankful we didn't take it.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm sure Jimbo told you, or Mike Gorham told you, or just about anybody you talked to told you, as a business matter, the answer is pretty much always yes if somebody wants to buy your horse. Yes.
Yeah. He, it's funny. It was actually the night before the White Clay. My wife and I, we went to happy hour, and we were, just coincidence, sitting next to another horse owner. I saw something racing stable in his shirt. So we just started talking. And I told him, I was like, man, we just got this offer. And he's like, well, you took it, right? And I was like, no, we didn't. He's like, you're a dummy. I was like, I don't know. I don't know why we didn't. But no, he was, Jimbo was like, you guys are crazy. So.
Well, so far it's working out pretty good, right?
I guess. Yeah. I mean, again, money aside, all that aside, just all of the little God winks that we've gotten from the races, there's just been some wild kind of things. So
so let's talk about some of these connections a little bit. Jimbo picked out the horse. For folks who don't know, he was a jockey for many years, won over 3,500 races, 2 of which were on All-Time Great Ruffian, which is quite a thing. And then he trained a few over a number of years, and then he retired from that. Bought this horse for you guys, set you on this path. As you mentioned, he rode Weber City Miss to win the 1980 Black Eyed Susan, which is just one of those like, whoa, connections.
Yeah. I mean, the connections go back to, like when I first met my wife too. So we both went to Towson. We met in college, dated, kind of got serious early on. She introduced me to her parents. I found out that Jimbo was a jockey. I'd ask him a bunch of questions. And then he asked me what my parents did. And my parents owned the Lido Pizza in Fulton. And he was like, oh, no kidding. Because he used to ride for Bob Bell, who started the original Lido Pizza in Adelphi, Maryland.
Oh, wow.
So, and Bob Bell owned Dave's Friend, who was like Jimbo's favorite horse to ride was Dave's Friend, and set a bunch of track records and all of that. So it was funny that way, right from the beginning. I'm trying to think, like, what other, there's so many weird things. Like I probably shouldn't even talk about this, but I will. When he, passed away suddenly, and, next to him was a program. And the program was like his old ownership partner's horse had a race in for that Saturday. And one of the maybe the second to last conversation he had, they were arguing, not like real argument, but just like bickering back and forth. It was Steve Vukovic, and Steve Vukovic's like, I think our horse is going to win. I think the horse is going to win. I don't even remember the name. The Winning Trip is the horse. I think the horse is going to win. And Jimbo's like, nah, the horse is going to come in second. The horse is going to come in second. And he liked coming in second to keep the condition and get a check and, go again. So that was like the argument, but that was the program that was like in the room next to him. And I noticed it. I'm like, oh man, we got to go to that race. So we went to a race, and Winning Trip has the lead, and it was like right at the wire, gets beat and comes in second. And I'm like, we told you, Jimbo's right. Jimbo's right. And then weird stuff. We're probably like looking for numbers, and then you're looking at the board, and the trifecta was 513, and he has 5 daughters, and he has 13 grandkids and grandkids. So it's just like kind of neat stuff. Like that's kind of weird how that worked out.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I got another weird one too.
Go for it.
The night before the Beyond the Wire, my buddy, I was so nervous before the race. So my buddy and I, we had a drink at a restaurant called Galliano's down the street. And we're having a drink, and it's like the restaurant usually closes pretty early, like 10 o'clock or 9:30, something like that. We're having a drink, and it's just us, me and my neighbor, and then one other guy down at the bar. And he had like this like Southern accent. And I was like, are you from the South? He's like, no. He's like, oh, born and raised in Laurel. And I'm like, oh, really? You sound like you're from the South. And I was like, man, I have a race. I have a horse race tomorrow at Laurel. He's like, oh, no kidding. And he starts talking about this jockey he knows. And the jockey's in Oklahoma. The jockey's not up here in Laurel. And he's talking about the jockey that he knows. And I was like, what's his name? And he goes, Steve Hamilton. I'm like, oh my gosh. Steve Hamilton was the last guy he talked to on the phone before he passed away. So I was like, man, what are the odds of that? He's talking about a guy in Oklahoma. We're up here. Right. I don't know. Just kind of wild stuff. Like made my hair stand up a little bit.
The one name of a person in Oklahoma, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's just wild. So,
so talk about your nerves before the race. Were you nervous about winning and losing, or?
I don't know. I said nerves. It's more, I feel like this whole thing is like unfolding like a story. And I just don't want the story to end. You know what I mean? Like I just want it to keep going. I don't want it to end. Because it really would be incredible for the family if we won the race that had the namesake of the horse he won, the Black Eyed Susan. If we could make the trip to the Black Eyed Susan, it would be an incredible, it'd be neat. And the thing that I think is important to me too, like really important, is I think, Jimbo had a Hall of Fame worthy career. Mm-hmm. He had to retire a little bit earlier than most because he had a bunch of injuries. But he got to 2,500 wins in less than 10 years, had over 3,500 wins, ran, still has track records. And, it's like, if there's some way that this horse can just shine a light on his career and get him a nod into the Hall of Fame, like that would be the most amazing ending to the story for sure.
Yeah. No, it's interesting you say that because I was thinking about this. I was thinking about it when we had Andrea Seafeld on last week. Like, she didn't have a career at the level of Jimbo's, but she did a lot of stuff. She won hundreds of races, graded stakes, second woman to ride in the Preakness, third in the Kentucky Derby. Like, it's a lot of stuff. And the sort of Hall of Famers, but the people who really did a lot of cool things but don't get the Hall of Fame, you kind of tend to forget how much they accomplished.
Yeah. So I think, I think being a jockey is unique is you have so much more longevity or potential longevity than other athletes. So that's where, the win totals get like crazy now.
Right.
The 6-year-old jockey. Right. So I think it like kind of casts a shadow a little bit and taking nothing away from them. Longevity, that's important, but it kind of casts a shadow on the ones that accomplished a lot in a short amount of time, but for one reason or another couldn't continue.
Yeah.
It's funny, it's this is probably the last like 30 days or so before he passed away. We were just talking. I was like, man, why did you retire when I think he was 38, maybe? And he was like, I was just beat up. He was like, I had plates in my arm. I had bad injuries. He's like, I had 5 major injuries, and that's why I have 5 daughters. And I was like, what does that mean? And he was like, I was stuck at home and I had nothing else to do. Which I was got a kick out of that.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. The other thing I like with Jimbo is the thing you noticed is I remember he came to a racing commission hearing one time, like a trainer brought him in to testify about a disqualification or something. And, you kind of were like, this guy looks like he just came out of the stall. Like, he was just with the horse. And, he was, you mentioned it, I think, in something you sent me that your friends would see him hanging out in his thrift store jeans and hoodie and baseball cap and kind of be like, who's this guy? You're like, this guy's a legend.
Yes. He was so unassuming. Like, you would never know. But you would know, like, when you walk through a track, whether it was a Delaware or Laurel or Pimlico, if you walk through a track, everybody's like, oh, there's Jimbo, hey, Jimbo. And like, that's the only way you know, because he never really talked about himself. And he probably was coming out of the stall. So like, he had a small little outfit. He only had 4 or 5 horses at a time. And he liked to do almost everything himself. Like, he had his way that he wanted it done. So he was reluctant on, hiring a bunch of people. And that's what got hard for him at the end. So he had, I think, like 3 or 4 shoulder surgeries like throughout his career. And then he was going to have to get another shoulder surgery. And he's like, Rick, I can't train. So in, I guess it was 2004, maybe March of 2004 to March of 2005, we didn't do anything with horses or really even talk horses. And he's like, I'm going to get my shoulder fixed, and then I'm going to start training again. And then he goes to the doctor, and they're like, we don't have enough in there to fix your shoulder. You're going to have to live with it. And he's like, Rick, I can't do this. But he knew, like, I wanted to, like, keep the horse thing going. And then one day out of the blue, he called me and asked me to meet him for lunch. So I met him for lunch. He's like, all right, this is what we're going to do. He's like, you're going to get a couple of your buddies together. We're going to pull some money together, and we'll buy 2 2-year-olds. We'll claim a horse just to kind of get some money going. And, the way he described what he wanted to do, or the part he wanted to play, was almost like a GM. He's like, I'll be the link between the trainer. I used to ride for Mike Gorham's dad. He's a great guy. Our philosophies are the same. So Mike will train. I'll kind of be the go-between between the ownership group and Mike. And that still got him in the game without having to shovel the stalls. And he loved it. It was so much fun. And like, he didn't feel the pressure, because I felt like he always felt pressure when he was training one of my horses. And I was like, Jimbo, it's the horse. Like, I mean, they don't call it trainer racing. It's called horse racing. So, and he didn't have that pressure. We would have, like, fun at the races.
Mm-hmm. You told me that, for a number of years, you wanted to buy a horse, and Jimbo kept saying no. Uh-huh. Yeah. Talk about that.
So, like I said, my wife and we met in college, and I found out what Jimbo did for a living. And I remember I had to take summer school in college, and I had like a 4-hour window in between classes during the summer. So I'd go to one class, then I would drive to Pimlico. I'll bet a little bit, and then I'd go to my afternoon class. And I was just doing it because I just wanted to learn. Like, because I knew nothing. And I still don't know a whole lot about horses. I just wanted to learn. So I'd always, like, pick his brain, ask questions. And, after we had our kids, I was like, Jimbo, I want to buy a horse. He's like, nope. And it was because, like, he knows how tough it can be. And I don't think he wanted his daughter to lose money. And then it was so funny. It was in 2021, just like out of the blue, he just calls me and he's like, hey, and this is after we haven't talked for like a year about me buying a horse. He's like, hey, you still want to buy a horse? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, Jacinto has a horse in Florida for you. I'm like, okay. He's like, "Are you in?" I was like, "I'm in." Yes. He was like, "All right, well, you got to go to the bank. You got to send a wire to Cinto and blah, blah." And that's how I got my first horse. It was like out of nowhere, came out of nowhere, and it was a blast.
That's funny. That horse, you won a race with that horse, right? And then it got claimed.
No. So that horse, that was Money Room. We had a lot. I think we ran Money Room 7 times, and we had 4 second places. 4 second place, and then he got claimed. And then the second horse I had, it was double. The name was Double Bid, and at this point now I have one horse, so now I'm an expert, right? So I'm looking at the condition or the catalog, looking at the pedigree, all this, and I was like, Jimbo, I want this horse. This is the horse I want. And this horse, it wouldn't win a race at a birthday party. I mean, it was. I think we came in last. I think we ran that 8 times, came in last like 5 times by a mile.
Oh man!
He's like, Rick, you're never picking a horse out ever again. And I was like, I don't want to pick out a horse.
Lesson learned. But
yeah, and then Terry wanted to get in on the action. So Terry, Jimbo's wife, and I, we partnered up and we bought a Blofeld horse. That was Square Slice. We named the horse Square Slice because my wife and I own the Lido Pizza and Square Slices.
Yeah.
So that's where I got my first win. So it took me 3 horses to get my first win. And then
I'm surprised you stuck with it through that.
Oh, it was so much fun. I mean, I feel like the horse racing stuff for us is, it's more than a hobby, but it's just like about our family. Like I see my dad at horse races more than I see him, he doesn't miss a horse race. My sisters come to horse races. My wife's sisters come to the horse races. And then John Plezos, his family comes to the horse. Like it's a family thing for us.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Is the whole family going to be out on Saturday?
I think so. So I have a daughter. It's a freshman in college, and she's going to drive down for the race. I think everybody's going to be in for the race. In for a party. Yeah.
Where are you guys hanging out? Are you going to be up in the dining room or?
No, we usually hang out like either in the Tips restaurant or the tables right outside.
Mm-hmm.
So the last race was so fun. It's weird when I have a race, everybody's like, "Oh, you should have told me about the race. You should have told me." And so I always send out like text message, we're racing. And for some reason, everybody showed up at the last one. So we had like a big cheering section. And so it kind of went wild when on the last jump, when she crossed the finish line. It was a big roar.
What was that feeling like for you? I mean, like we talked about before, she looked like she was toiling in mid-stretch, and then she suddenly kicks in gear and gets up between the win.
Yeah.
What's that feeling like?
So I thought the same thing. So she looked real relaxed. So I felt good about that. And then it looked like she started to make a move and then like kind of stopped. And I was like, I guess she emptied her tank. It didn't really look like she tried to make a run. And then I guess Raoul said he was never worried. Like he said she had plenty in the tank. And, they made the move in between the horses and went. And the crazy thing is I'm standing right at the finish line. I'm standing next to my dad. And for some reason, instead of looking at the horses, I'm looking at the TV, the monitor on the infield, which must have been like a half a second delayed. So I'm staring at it. And at the time I'm thinking, oh, we have a chance to get second. So I'm like, oh, get second. I'm just looking at the screen and my dad hits me. He was like, she's going to win. I'm like, no. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
Well, that race was a mile. So that's down to the second wire. That makes it harder to watch. This one will be at the first wire. So you'll be able to just, look at the horses on the track.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. It'll be, I'm guessing it'll be quite a celebration if she wins. Tell me, where's the name come from?
We celebrated till 1 a.m. after the last one. So
did you really?
Oh man, yeah, it was unbelievable. We went to we stayed at the track. They were kicking us out at the track. We stayed whatever until 6 or 7. Then we went to Looney's up the street. Then we went to Galliano's, and we went back to my house, and just it was fun.
Yeah,
we have a fun family and group of friends.
Well, and that's you're making a point that people sometimes lose sight of a little bit. Like if you can't have fun when your horse wins a race, particularly a big race, get in a different business.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And that's, it's funny, talking about Jimbo again, he was like, man, when I was riding in the 70s and 80s, the track was packed. Everybody was having fun. Yeah. And he was like, it's kind of not the same anymore. So I think he enjoyed that, like me and John Polizos, and we would like bring a bunch of our friends to the track and have fun. He's like, that's how it's supposed to be.
Right. Where does the name come from? There's a geographic connection, but there's more than that.
Yeah. So, John Polizos, he owns a business in Fulton. I own a business in Fulton. So we wanted to kind of highlight Fulton, I guess. And they're like, man, what else? Like, can we do something neat? I don't know. And Terry has 5 daughters. I have 2 daughters. And John has 2 sons and 2 daughters. So we took the first letter of of each of their names and tried to fit it into a horse name. So in Miss Fulton Gal, it has all of our kids' first names, the letter of their first name in Miss Fulton Gal.
Nice.
Yeah.
Is this the only horse you guys have now?
That's the only one we have right now. Yep. And then we'll see what happens this week. Because I think, I don't know if I said this now or before, but he's in Florida now looking for us. So
yeah. Are you looking to get one out of there, or more than one, or see what happens?
I mean, like, I think in a perfect, and this actually came back to when Jimbo took me to lunch that one day. I feel like in a perfect world, we'd have like 3 kind of going on at once, because there's 3 partners, and instead of each of us having our own horse, it's like an insurance policy to have kind of 3. So if one hits, right. It would do well, and there's more action, and we don't have to wait 30, 45 days in between races to get excited. Right. So I think in a perfect world, we'd have 3, which, Miss Fulton Gal and 2 more.
Gotcha. Now, Gorham wasn't at the last race. He had a horse up at Aqueduct. I assume you guys are making him come to this one, though, right?
I think he'll be back, yeah. So I think I don't know when he comes back, but he better be back. I mean, he's a fun guy, too. Man, we lucked out. So that the connection that Jimbo made to Mike, he's a great guy.
Yeah. Years ago, I went to Gulfstream for something, and I was kind of wandering around on the backside one morning, and there was Mike Gorham. So I was like, what are you doing here? And he had a few horses down there. We ended up, getting a beer and whatever. But
yeah, the last race, I forget the name of the horse, but he had a horse. It was his own horse up in Aqueduct.
Gotcha. I don't usually ask this, but do you bet on your own horses?
What's funny is the answer is yes.
Okay.
Not well. So somebody told me a while ago, because I think with my first horse, I was doing like win, play, show, or I'm not much of a gambler. I can read the programs enough to be dangerous, but I don't know a whole lot. And I was like looking at Exacta and Trifecta and all of that. And then somebody told me, he's like, you can never bet your horse to lose. If you're betting a place or a show, you're betting that your horse is going to lose. You can't do that. So I've always bet the horse to win. To be on the wire, I get there and I opened my wallet and I was like, oh my gosh, I forgot to bring money.
She paid $8 too. You would have done all right.
It would have been all right. But it's all right. I like the purse more than the gambling.
Well, I used to own horses, and people would say, "Oh, do you bet on your horse?" And I would often say, yeah, I bet, you know, $25,000 when I bought it. That was my bet. But occasionally bet on them.
I think the thing that, obviously aside from the connections with Jimbo, I get attracted to like the action, right? So I played sports growing up and all that, and I can't do that anymore. They're just action. Mm-hmm. But the gambling's cool, it's fun, but it doesn't. I could take it or leave it. Mm-hmm. But there's no feeling that I've experienced yet better than winning that stake race. Mm-hmm. And I would say second to that is anytime you have a 2-year-old getting in the gate for the first time, because you just never know. Even if they didn't have good workouts, you just never know when a 2-year-old gets in the gate the first time what's going to happen. Right. It's like it's playing the lottery. So that's I would a month ago I would have said the best feeling is a 2-year-old getting in the gate for the first time, but not after a couple weeks ago. Best feelings when you're in the winner's circle.
So when this horse ran second in her debut to the favorite, what were you guys thinking going into that race, and then what were you thinking coming out of it?
Again, I always relied on Jimbo, and Jimbo's philosophy for a 2-year-old's first race is just get them around the track. Yeah. What happened? Like he always wanted the horse to have a good first trip. So he wasn't necessarily looking to win. Obviously that'd be great.
Sure.
Just have the horse have a good experience, have the horse learn how to relax, have the horse come out of the gate decent. That is probably more of what he was looking for or telling me to look for. Mm-hmm. The first race more than a win. So he really thought that way about like all 2-year-old races. Mm-hmm. So when we won in the second race, that's where he was like, you guys got something here.
Mm-hmm. 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 When did it become, when did you decide that you would tackle the Beyond the Wire and start thinking about the races beyond?
So we had a bad trip in December where it was like she hit her hind leg coming out of the gate. It was kind of like, I think, shocked her a little bit. And so she just kind of jogged around the track. And then, so I wasn't sure because we had that offer, I think in October or November. And that's where, you start thinking like, oh my gosh, this thing can be so big. And then we got humbled really quickly in December. So then I was like, I don't know, how the horse is. And then, and Mike kept saying, he's like, Rick, that's a throwaway race. Don't worry about that. She just got stuck in the gate. And then in January, we came back and it was a really muddy, ugly track. And she came in second. I was like, we might be all right. And that's when I think maybe the condition book came out and I started looking. I was like, I wonder if we can get to the Beyond the Wire. And then we won that allowance race. I was like, no, we're going. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I have a story I got to tell you. This is about me looking at condition books.
Which is the bane of every trainer's life.
So this was in October or November. And I'm talking to Jimbo, and he's a man of few. He was a man of few words. He would never do long phone conversations. But I'm like, Jimbo, I was looking at the book, and man, it's gonna be tough for us to find a race. I was like, there's one that's too soon. It's like in 10 days, and then the next one's like 45, 50 days. It just seems like one. And he's like, Rick, do you have a stapler? I'm like, what? Do I have a stapler? He's like, yeah. Do you have a stapler? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, well, staple that effing book shut. You worry about selling pizza and I'll worry about the horses. So to answer your question about the Beyond the Wire, is I looked at it a little bit.
Yeah, that's funny. And that's like kind of what every trainer thinks, I think. They might not say it, but secretly they're going like, just leave me alone to handle the horses. I had a partner in a horse years ago who we won like a low-level race with this horse and came back to me and said, what if we go into this race that was like 10 levels above where we were? I was like, are you nuts? We're just going to get our head kicked in there. But everybody's got a condition book. That, you mentioned that race in January. I didn't have a specific trip note on your horse, but the track was a mess that day. I mean, it was, and some horses, your horse got over it okay. Some horses didn't like it even a little bit. I mean, there were some really like screwy performances where like good horses didn't run at all and not so good horses ran great. And so it was and
Mo Maxey, who's going to be in the Weber City Miss, beat us that day.
Right.
So she seemed to like them up.
Yeah. Well, you're going to see some familiar faces, Law School, Mo Maxey, Jumping the Gun. So we've got some experience here. So, all right, Rick Trott, I'll let you go. So I guess we will, if your horse is in contention late, I have a feeling we're going to hear from the family.
Probably. You'll hear their voices yelling, yes.
Well, good luck with Miss Fulton Gal on Saturday. And as you said, it's an unfolding story, and I hope it continues for you.
All right. I appreciate it.
All right. That was Rick Trott, co-owner of Miss Fulton Gal. Miss Fulton Gal heading to the Weber City Miss Stakes on Saturday at Laurel Park with a free spot not in the Preakness, in the Black Eyed Susan in the offing for the winner there. So good stuff from Rick Trott. This has been Maryland Racing Today, powered by the Racing Biz, theracingbiz.com, and presented by our friends at the Maryland Jockey Club. Maryland Racing Today will be back Thursday with when Mac and John join me to talk, do a little handicapping, talk about some of the news out of Laurel Park, and look ahead to the big weekend coming up there. You can find Maryland Racing Today anywhere you get your podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Podbean, wherever. Please do like and subscribe. We appreciate that very much. And we will see you Thursday on Maryland Racing Today.